Hello, and thank you for calling the Auto Glass Helpline. Today we are going to do something a little bit different. We haven't done one of these yet. Well, I've done plenty of them, but we don't have one on video. We're going to be replacing the back glass on this 2011 Ford F150. And this one is a bolt and butyl. And like I said, I haven't put one of these on video yet, so we are going to do so today. And you may or may not see something new in the videos today. If you spot it, let me know in the comments. So let's get started. First, we are going to take our hook tool here and we're going to drop these seats. So what you're going to do is you're going to look back here, and I'm sorry if I bump your head, and you're going to find this guy right here. There's a little peg you want to lift up on right there, and then you got to pull this to release the bottom of the seat. Then you can pull this forward, and if you didn't get a good view before, this is the peg you're looking for right here. You lift up on that peg right there and it releases you off of that bar, and we can drop this guy down. And then you're going to do the same thing over on this side. This one's a little bit easier, a little bit more room to fish around. I'm trying to give you guys the view here. Let's see. Peg is right there. And we're going to give that one a lift. Come on. Right there. There it is. And then same thing, pull the little handle here to release the bottom, and then pull forward. And then here's the peg on this one right here. They're both on the right hand side of the vehicle, left hand side if you're standing in the back seat like this. So I'm going to remove a little glass here, and yes, I know I'm not wearing my gloves. I'll pop this guy off to see what we have underneath there. That looks like maybe an 11. And I'm going to set all of our stuff in our cup holder there. Looks like this is part of the slider. And this is a power slider, unfortunately. So while we're back here, we're going to pop some stuff. Pop these guys out. And inside there is looks like a 7. Again, leave those in the cup holder. Take our little TRT tool here, pull all of these Christmas trees out of here so we can get ready to take all of this out. And drop those in there. We're going to want to pop these ones up here as well, because we need to pull the headliner down a little bit here so we can access the nuts that go around there. So we'll grab a couple of ratchets, and then we will get this stuff taken off and move forward. Don't need the hook anymore. We'll put that back. And let's see, what do we got here? These are usually 8s or 9s. They kind of vary from Ford to Ford because they can't seem to standardize anything like the rest of the auto industry. So I'm going to grab an 8, a 9, a 7 for that. Grab this guy, one of our little extensions here, which actually we're going to grab a wrench here for the ones up underneath the headliner. That way we don't have to pull it down too far and run the risk of creasing it. I thought I had a 9 in here. Apparently somebody swiped it, so the 10 is missing as usual. Looks like somebody snagged my 9, so put that there. So hopefully it's an 8. We shall see. And then Actually, we're going to grab our 7 magnetic so we don't have to worry about dropping those screws. And then we need that, I believe it was an 11 for the other one. And we'll grab the 10 just in case. Oh, let's jump back in here and take out our pillar covers. So it would have been easier to get the rattler or the drill, but hey. Come on. Come on out of there. There we go. Throw that in the pocket. And let's see what these are real quick. Drop that down there. And looks like it's gonna be a 9. Of course it is. Oh well. We'll deal with that. And that was a 10. And for those who haven't figured it out already, this is going to be a long form full replacement. I'm only going to cut the video if I have to stop for something unorthodox that doesn't need to be here, which shouldn't be the case. I'm going to put our 10 right there. And let's pull this guy out of here. This one does have the heating elements in it for the defroster, so I'm willing to bet that there's going to be a 10 mil for that grounding cable as well. Put that in the pocket. Set that up there. Grab our 9. And set our wrench right there for now, since we're not going to be using it. Then let's lift this guy off of here. Like so. And we're going to need something a little heavier duty to get those guys off of there. Going to pull this and pop this guy loose here, because we want to be able to get to our plug and our cable mounts down here. These ones look like they're snap-ins, so we can reuse those. That'll be nice. Got our motor down there. We can slip this guy right past there and slide this out right now and be done with it. Drop that on the back so we don't mess up the front. Pull this guy loose as well, like so. Looks like that one didn't get mounted properly. I wonder if this has been replaced before. So, actually it looks like we don't need to remove that because our cable doesn't run behind it. So that's nice. Our cable does, however, run behind the power. There's the 8 mil. right there on our motor. Go ahead and disconnect this guy. Goes in the pocket. And we'll get this guy unplugged here, like so. And grab our TRT, slip these guys out because looks like our cable goes behind this guy. There's our defroster cable there. Pull that loose and throw it up there. Slip that guy off of that. Pull this last one here. And our plug there. Now we are clear with our cable. Nothing else hanging up. And looks like I was wrong. It wasn't a 10 mil for the ground. It's another 8. Go ahead and pull that guy out of there, and our grounding cable's loose. Drop that in there. Now reach in here and grab our 9 mil, and we'll go ahead and remove all of these guys here. Of course, there's one right behind there, and you can remove this guy, or if you're using a box end ratchet type wrench, you can just go in behind it. And we'll just hang him like that. There's not one back there, so we're all good there. And this is the tedious part of these things, is pulling all of these nuts off of here. Why don't I use power tools? Because I'd only be able to use it for the bottom and usually the sides. So you wind up having to use the hand tools for the top unless you pull the headliner out, which personally I would rather not deal with. What do you want? Never mind. Right, get these two on the sides here. And there's not much to talk about on these ones, guys, because it's just a whole lot of taking stuff apart. Like I said, these ones can be tedious. And we're gonna reach up here and find our next one. Which is right there. This one you're just trying to pull the headliner down as little as possible so you don't crease it anywhere. You should be able to get your hands back here without doing any damage. Some of them are a little tighter, so they'll have the oh shit handles right here. You'll have to pull the oh shit handle off of there so you don't crease it. You want to give it as much flexibility as possible. So, and, one more right here. There, one in the middle here. Should have 5 across the top. Again, sorry about the extended view of nothingness or my arms. So, climbing around the back of these things is always fun too. Pull this so our headliner flexes down right here. Pull this out of the way so you don't ding the headliner with it. You could pull these things completely out. They drop down underneath that. So you could take the whole thing off. I usually just lean them out like that because you don't need a ton of access behind there. And like I said, you can just lift this, slide that out of the way in order to keep from denting or dinging the headliner. This one's actually in pretty good shape, all things considered. Some of these older Fords are work trucks and the guys really just don't care about them, so some of them you can get away with a little bit more. That one, and then here's our last 2 here. There, and one more. Oh, I lied, we got one more down here on the bottom I didn't get to yet. There. I'm gonna reach over here and get this last one out of here. One little tip, don't try to palm all of them as you're taking them out. Throw it in your pocket because you will inevitably drop one of them and it'll wind up in here or somewhere else and then wind up getting sucked up in the vacuum, and then you have to chase it all through that as well. So actually, you know what? We do need to remove this guy because our cable needs to go underneath our seat belt. So let's go grab something a little heavier duty and get that seat belt pulled loose. That, and where are you hiding? Here you are. Jump back up in here. And probably our biggest one. Yep. So we're gonna loosen these first. And I think we're actually going to go get the power tool to finish removing these because I don't feel like cranking the ratchet that many times. So power tool time. That off, and then underneath here, and there's one holding the seatbelt on, like so. And we'll just let this guy lay right up there. We'll set that on the floor. And we're going to keep the ratchet to make sure everything's tight. And this is butylled in, so we should be able to just pry it out. And butyl is fun because butyl makes one hell of a mess when it's warm outside. If you haven't dealt with it before, if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You wind up with spider webs everywhere. So throw on some gloves here, and I'm going to come right over here on the side, slide this guy in here, give that a little pry, and then we'll jump up here. There it is. You can see those little spider webs all there. It's not too warm up here yet, so they're breaking, which is nice. When it gets really hot, stuff just turns into a nightmare of a mess. Pop that. So we're going to clean all of this off of here. Kind of swipe through those so you don't wind up with it all over the place, strung out and stretched all over your vehicle, and you got to clean it off of the paint, and that's not fun. So jump down here, and we're going to throw this in the box. Tape that guy up and get him ready for the trash later. Oh, I'm gonna grab a little different scraping tool here. Grab that one. Yeah, grab this one. Got a nice flat edge on there. And we want to get as much of this stuff off as we can. Once you get yourself a good ball, butyl actually works really well at removing itself. So if you get a ball of it and start doing that, it should start pulling away. Should. It's kind of warm out, so we're just getting a lot of stretch. So we're just going to give this a good scrape, make sure we're nice and clean. Don't have any dirt on there. See how this stuff is just stretching, creating those little spider webs like I was talking about earlier. Scrape that dirt away there. And see, that's what I was talking about right there. Get yourself a nice little sticky ball. when it gets hot, this stuff gets pretty stretchy, so scrape that foam core off of there. Got a little bit of glass in there. Carefully you don't stab yourself with that. And we already cut my glove. Scrape that foam core off of there. Get that little bit of glass out of there. We'll pick up that piece of glass. Let's go throw on a new glove since we cut that one. Already getting warm out here. And let's pull this foam core off of here. Take that little piece of glass and drop him in there. We'll vacuum that up here in a minute. Get us a nice little ball. And we can start back with that. Like I said, not a lot to talk about on these ones, so sorry if I'm not jabbering away. Even just the butyl is popping my glove. So the rest of that, scrape away this foam core off of there. We're gonna take a little chunk of this here so we can start cleaning off this side. Look at that foam core there. Work our way around here, get as much of this as we can. And we'll go around and give this a spray, clean all that dirt off of there so we get a nice clean seal, no dirt in the way. Just a tedious job. Definitely not one of my favorites to do, but they're still out there, so you're gonna come across them. That kind of squished in there so we stop getting that stretchy mess. think the weatherman lied. Said it wasn't supposed to be in the 80s up here until this afternoon. And I think we're already pretty close to it, so I'd like to have a job where I could be wrong all the time and still get paid. And you? All right. Got that pretty well cleaned off. All of our big chunkies out of here. Give that a quick wipe down. Can lose these gloves. And you put these guys back now. Done with that. And we're gonna want some butyl. Going to use the 1/4 inch here for this guy, and you can see it's a little flat but not too bad. If all you have is the 1/8 inch, you can use that. Just make sure you do 2 laps all the way around that seal to make sure that you get a good seal. We're going to grab both of these boxes just in case. And set those in the shade. Grab our rag, some of our cleaner here. And let's clean some of this dirt out of here. Peel this chunk out of there. So, and I'm going to take our beetle in a box here, and going to make our rounds around this guy. Peel this off and lay that just like so. Wrap our corner here. Around here. And we got some spots that are a little flat that shouldn't be. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab one of those scrap rolls at 1/8 inch that I have. You can see this is pretty close. I probably should have didn't have any of the bigger stuff. So what we'll do is we'll lay this one on, and then we're gonna lay a layer of that 5/16 or that 1/8 inch over the top. That way we get a good seal and get some nice compression on that. Ouch. Don't catch your leg on the tailgate step. And it's amazing how fast a 10-foot roll gets used up. This guy, do our last little bit here. Give that a nice little joining seam there. Come down alongside this guy and snap that off right there. So, and put that guy back in the box. That one is garbage. Don't want that one. And again, we're going to take this guy and we're just going to lay this right on top of here. And be careful, because once you stick this stuff down, there is no pulling it off of itself. So make sure you're putting it right where you want it. You don't want to use butyl that's too thick. So if the stuff you have is too thick, you're going to want to stretch it down a little bit, because if you use stuff that's too thick, as you're tightening these down, you're going to give those studs too much pressure, and you could pull out one of these studs. Depending on the glass, you could break the glass. There's any number of things that could go wrong with it. So again, as you're laying this on here, make sure you're putting it right where you want it. Because like I said, once this stuff sticks to itself, there's no pulling it apart without making a mess. Come around our corners here. And you can see I'm just above that ledge right there, where this ledge is going to pull down tight to the body. You can see our other one is right even with it, so if we put that in and we tighten this down, we wouldn't get a proper seal. And it looks like we're going to have enough to finish this out without having to dive into that new roll. Go right over our seam there. Lay that right on top. Come right up to our old seam right there. Give that a pop. And that is that. Got our butyl on there, sitting out here in the sun. It's all nice and warm. I'm going to put this back in the butyl box. And then we're going to grab this guy and we're going to stick him in the hole. Make sure we line up our bolts here, top and bottom. That should stick Not gonna go anywhere. And then move to the inside and bolt everything back down. Now, a new fun and tedious part. Bolting everything back together. When you guys are trying to pull the seat belt, roll the seat belt around to the direction it's supposed to be. And you can roll it over and do the same thing. We want to get that wire set up first. We're going to let this hang on the back side here so we don't have to fight it again. Leave that guy right there. Set that down. Grab these guys here. Going to pop this cardboard out of here and our motor. And get this all strung properly and mounted in place. There's our anchor point there. And we're just going to pop this guy off of here and reuse the anchor point that's already in there, because we can. So, pull that out of the way, slip that guy there, and go ahead and unplug this guy, lace him underneath like he was before. And looks like they gave us an extra one there. That. I'll stick that in the pocket. Grab our mounting bolts for our motor. 3. And where did our skinny ratchet go? Did I leave it in the van? I hate it when I do that. I must have. Let's go check. The little faux pas that slow you down. Nope. Alright, I'll grab that. Where is our ratchet hiding? Right where I was sitting. Wow. Nothing makes you feel more like a dumbass than not seeing something that's right in front of your face. So, it's alright. I got the power tool now. So, we'll just run these down. Make sure that's secure. Grab our plug here. And make sure we're going in the right way. Somebody wrap this thing with tape. Plug that in. And remount these guys. Pull him over and plug him in. There we go. To find our grounding bolt here. Run that down. Oh, got that one backwards. So turn that back around. Put that little locking piece in there so it doesn't spin. There we go. And we will grab our 10. Let's go ahead and put this guy on here. And you most certainly can, but I do not recommend using power tools to run these down. You want to do this by hand. That way you can feel how tight you're getting, because it is easy to pull these studs out of the rubber here. So make sure you're tightening these by hand. You just want them to snug up, and then you're all good there. So go ahead and run this guy back down, like so. We've got our cable all run. We are all plugged in. Let's go grab the key and give this thing a test, make sure it's working properly before we get everything put back together. And there's our slider. Everything is operating properly. Run that a few times. We are all good on there. Put that back. Then we are going to get everything else bolted in and snugged down, and we'll vacuum all this crap out of here. So let's get our seat belt back in place here. Tighten that down. I always recommend starting everything by hand, especially because some of these things are really easy to cross thread. And go ahead, double check these, make sure they're good and tight. Don't want to take any risks with seat belts. Make sure they are all good and snug. And I'm going to, let's see here. You know what? We're going to go ahead and vacuum this guy all out before we put that rear plate or felt back in on here. So I'm going to vacuum all this out, You guys don't need to watch me do that, so I will be back more than shortly. All right, guys, and we are back. As you can see, I vacuumed everything up down here, and oh, missed a couple pieces there. Let's stick those in the pocket. So we got everything vacuumed up, and I know I said that was all I was going to skip, but I also put in my 5 bolts along the top here. You can see there's one right there. There's a couple over there. I think you can see them, because I didn't think you needed to see me or just stand there and stare at my hands tightening bolts. So we're going to go ahead and put these last several in. We've already got our one in the middle right here. We got that one snugged down. So let's go ahead and throw the rest of these on real quick. And like I said before, we are going to start these by hand. We'll just run them down as far as we can. Sometimes they like to spin, sometimes they do not. Scoot over here a little bit. You got to be a bit of a contortionist to work on some of these back windows because of the seats not coming out or the way they fold down. Gotta try not to stab yourself in the butt with stuff like this as you're climbing in and out or sitting down. Oh, it's one of those things you'll only do it once. That's for sure. So, get these guys spun on here. And then grab our ratchet and we're going to tighten all these down. And you can see these tighten down pretty easy. Again, we're just going to run these until they're snug. And so this thing's sitting in the sun. It's already getting warm up here, so that butyl's nice and soft. So I'm going to get a nice seal on this all the way around. Snug that one up. And you'll notice as you work your way around, these will have a tendency to get loose as you get to the next one because you're sucking that down, you're pulling this down and creating a space on that next one. Snug. Push this back into place over here. Go ahead and pull that door seal. Make sure everything's lined up. Get this other side ratcheted down. We'll get this put back on. We'll get our felt back in here. So again, you just want these snug. You don't want them wrenched down so tight. You don't need to clamp them down. We don't want to pull the studs out of the encapsulation. Because then you get to come back and put another one in. And usually eat the cost of the one you pulled the stud out of, because I don't think that is covered by manufacturer's defect. Try not to throw your ratchet all over the place. Snug. And let's go ahead and feed our backing piece in here. This is always fun, trying to work it around your feet, not stab yourself in the butt with the stuff that's on the back of the seats. Oops, looks like we're upside down. All right. Let me give this a quick flippy-do here. There we go. Now we're the right direction. It helps if you come in the right way. Tuck this back there, like so. And then same thing over here. Give that a tuck behind there. Now, like so. And give that a feel. Make sure you're lined up properly. Let's see here. We can put this guy back together here. Grab our cover. Go ahead and run that down. That was a 10. Where's our 10 hiding? Just hand crank that because that's already pretty snug. Set that aside there. Reach back here. We want this cover here. Snap that down. Slide this guy back up here. That a tuck. And make sure that's in place. Make sure we've got everything lined up here properly. Straighten that peg out there. There we go. Come back over here, use our magnet and find the right spot. We'll drop that guy back in. Come over to this side. Make sure we are all properly aligned here. Make sure that drops in place. Pull that away. Make sure all these guys are in the right spot. And that. Plug that guy in. Put our door seal back in place here. So, there's that guy tucked behind your headliner there. Reach back here and just give that a little tug. Make sure this is all pushed back where it's supposed to be. Don't lose your extension in the seat foam. And to grab all of these guys, move all this down here, and then we're going to start putting all of these back in place. Got that one, got this one right there. There, and oops, I put that one in the wrong spot. We want the bigger one, as we got two different sizes here. You can see that one's a little smaller. Those ones go down here in this corner. Find the right spot here. Do some fishing. Where are you hiding at? Come on, I just saw you. There you are, right there. And we are all assembled. Everything is put back together. You just take your seat, you pull this out of the way, hammer that back, make sure that latched, it's still good. Grab all of our bits and bobs along with that plate from that glass. Set all this right here. I'll put all that away here in a minute. Put that away. Check our final one to get our door seal put back in place here. Again, we're going to go up here, give this headliner a little tug, get it to drop back into place. Take your seat, make sure you don't catch your seat belt. Alright, why is our seat belt being a problem here? It's got a twist in it. Let's see if we can fix this without having to take all this stuff apart. Oh no, that's what we did. There we go. We got our seat belt hung up behind one of our pins back there. So, another thing to watch out for, guys, and I missed it, make sure, oh, come on. Now you're going to be a pain in the butt. There we go. Got that straightened out. Now, make sure we get everything lined back up properly here. There we go. Oh, even we make mistakes, guys. Oh. Get this tucked back in here. Our door seal back in place. Check our seat belt again. And then you take your seat, slam it back, drop that, make sure that's latched. And that is a bolt-in back glass on a 2011 Ford F-150. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.